ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we're in Diabolus Kingdom here at the UKLC. We're nearing the top of the tower. My name is Scoundrel, joined by Dan Orcs Harrison, and we're going to be delving into the semi-finals in just a few moments' time, where we have a stonker of matchup. XL taking on Fnatic in our first semi-final, and then we have Phelan taking on M&M, the winners of which will clash, and then we'll go on to face Diabolus at the top of the tower.
Yeah, I feel like every match today is going to be high stakes, both teams giving their all, so I'm just excited for it to start. Me
too. And so, if you want to get involved in the conversation, which you should do, because if you're not getting involved in the conversation, I'm personally very disappointed in you. I'm going to look you in the eyes right now. Get involved in the conversation. Hashtag UKLC at LVPUK on Twitter. That is where I want to hear all of your thoughts. You can tweet myself, Dan, Jake, Borja, Maya, anybody that's in existence. Dogchamp. You can tweet our dog, our resident UKLC dog. Tell us what you think, who you're predicting to win, who your fan favorites, if you like apples, all of these things. We want to hear from you at UKLC at LVPUK on Twitter. Also, if you want to catch any of the VODs that we've had from the previous broadcasts, and also our broadcast last year, which was the Forge of Champions, you can go to LVP UK on YouTube and check out all of the wonderful videos of our faces shouting at League of Legends and Jake messing up all of his play-by-play segments because we love him so much. Oh, speaking of Jake, which I so brilliantly introduced him, he is over on the sidelines ready to talk through some of the upcoming matches.
Yeah, thanks guys for that. Hi guys, HitBrain here. We're going to have a little breakdown of our games coming up today and everything to expect coming into day 2, week 5. We're actually nearing the end here, the UKLC, at least for the main season, as we've only got 2 weeks left after this week, but Diabolus are at the top of the tower. So let's have a little look at the standings and where we are currently here in the UKLC. So this is the bracket. So yesterday, obviously, we had our round of 8, and now we've got Fnatic versus XL as our first game of the day, and our second game of the day is going to be M&M versus Phelan. I can't wait to see who's going to win here, because XL versus Fnatic is going to be such a tight game. Both of these teams have so much to prove. Both X-Tower champions, but you know, Fnatic last week got knocked out at the beginning of the week by M&M. M&M have to take on Phelan now. If they can get that win, this might be another shot for M&M to try and get themselves to the top of that tower. So be real nice for them, but you know, Diabolus are the team also defending for the moment. But before we go into our first matchup, I actually do want to see the scoreboard, see where everyone is sitting coming out of the first day of week 5. So Diabolus do remain at the top of the tower with 13 points, Fnatic rising with 12 points, and yes, they are the 2-time champion. XL with 9 points, but they are tied with M&M. So if XL lose to Fnatic and M&M beat Phelan, M&M will actually overtake them, take 3rd space, securing that spot for themselves and knocking XL down into 4th. So it's actually a lot on the line here, and it's not just like Phelan are out. Yes, they've got 2 points, but if they can pull a miracle out the bag today, get a win over XL, then beat either over M&M, and then beat Fnatic or XL, they can then go into the tower challenge, maybe dethrone Diabolus and put themselves at the top of the tower and suddenly claw themselves to 4th to 5th spot in the scoreboard. So even though we're only 2 weeks away from the end of the season, there's so much going on. There's so much upsets that are still capable of happening. And we've seen upsets all season long as well. So it's been really, really exciting on that front. But without further ado, I think it's time we go into our first game of the day, which is going to be XL taking on Fnatic Rising. So I'm really excited to get delving into this and having a look at our rosters and who's playing for who. So first of all, we'll be starting with our team on the blue side, which will be XL. So hopefully we'll bring that roster up right now. There we are. All right, so Sendo in that top lane. You've got Taxa in the jungler. Exile is the mid, and Inax and Kasing as the bot lane. Kasing getting pulled in from the LEC last week to play on this XL roster. Lost his first game of the season, but did win yesterday, pulling out the Tahm Kench. But they will be taking on Fnatic Rising, who are currently 2nd place here on the ladder. So let's bring up their roster. You can see Shikari in the top lane, Dan is the jungler, Maja Felix in the mid lane, and it is X-Matty and Prosper as their bot lane duo. So it's hard to call who I think is actually going to take this game. I think we've got 2 very different styles. Fnatic, you know, they go for a more macro focused play. Well, XL, they've been kind of fighty this whole way through. But let's pass it over to our casters for our first game of the day.
Nicely timed, Jake, because the camera just turned towards us. We were getting a little bit dicey. We were like, are we going to have to like pop up in front of the camera over here? Anyway, we are jumping into our first game of the day, and myself and Dan will be guiding you through what is bound to be one of the most exciting matches of the week. XL taking on Fnatic, our two LEC teams with their sort of UK-based rosters going head-to-head. Fnatic still running with no LEC members pulled down to their roster. XL have pulled 2 LEC members down to their UKLC roster, and that means that we have got a little bit of a dicey matchup. I think that we're going to have some fun with this.
I think it's stylistic differences as well, is that we saw yesterday Fnatic had a very controlled, slow game. XL were more, we want to make things happen. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up against each other here, but both of them looking for redemption because, I mean, if you didn't watch last week, what were you doing? But XL, they lost in the first round, second week running, which was a bit embarrassing. And then Fnatic were top of the tower, I believe, and then got knocked down by M&M, and then got knocked down out of the first round by Enclave. So both of them had a dire previous weeks, and although they're still pretty high in points, they really need to get things together if they want to ensure their spots at the top. Yeah,
pretty important matchup, especially for XL. Now, both XL and M&M are pretty clear of that 5th place position right now, so there's going to have to be some serious changes up in terms of the standings for either of them to get knocked off out of that playoff position. But you don't want to go in as the LEC team and the UKLC as 4th seed, you know, into that playoff position. So XL especially, they've got a lot of pressure on themselves to perform in this particular situation.
I think it's a fact as well that you have Exile and Kasing, who are such veteran players, and then you're not winning. It really questions what is going on with the team. So I know they definitely want to set the record straight and crush Fnatic today, but I'm sure Fnatic want to do the same in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a massive rivalry because, you know, we take that LEC team rivalry and we're putting that into the UK as well. The 2 UK organizations that have that professional level League of Legends team right at the top of the European competition, now facing off each other in the semi-finals of our UKLC. And again, remember, if Fnatic or XL lose this matchup, there could be massive position shifts in the standings, which will play into either seeding or even maybe XL losing a position in the playoffs if things don't go their way over the next few weeks.
Yeah, especially when we have Phelan on the other match. If they start to gain a ton of points, that's when it starts to get dicey. We'll get into the draft, and XL pretty heavily targeting Dan. We've seen the Olaf that he played yesterday. We've seen Jin Zhao taken away from him as well. Fnatic not really going for anything. The Nico ban is fairly standard on red side on this patch. I think every team is going to ban it, but then going for the Thresh away from Kasing. It's pretty interesting because we saw him take more for, he played Galio in his first game in the UKLC, and then he played Tom Kench. It was very much more I want to make map things happen rather than I want to make plays in the bot lane. So potentially Fnatic are scared that they might go for a strong 2v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoe coming banned out as well, maybe against Magi Felix. I'm really excited to see the Magi Felix versus Exile matchup. I think that in particular is really interesting. Magi Felix, who's been touted as an LEC level mid laner based on his solo queue performances, taking on an LEC mid laner who has moved down to the UKLC roster. Rise banned against Exile, so unsurprisingly a lovely respect ban going out towards Exile, and we're waiting to see the first picks for Fnatic. And with Lucian up, immediately locked in for Inax. This is an Inax special as well.
Yeah, we were talking about the Nico ban being a sort of permanent on red side. Lucian is fairly common as well, and being left open, it's no surprise Inax takes that. He's consistently played that when it's available. Does go over to Fnatic now. Jarvan's available. They have, you know, the Lissandra's available. They have things like the Galio available, but very quickly locking in quite an aggressive jungle mid duo, assuming the Lissandra's mid, but a lot of engage potential to potentially shut down that Lucian. Yeah, and you know, there are a lot of power picks left up, like you said, the Jarvan, which can still be flexed in this particular scenario to give XL a bit of flexibility, which I think, you know, there are a lot of options to put Jarvan into a composition like this. It gives you a lot of great engage in the mid game for running with the Lucian. The Lissandra Nocturne early combo, though, what do you make of that? Because that isn't a very aggressive lock-in in this particular sort of update. I mean, to me, that screams we want to roam. Once we get level 6 in our mid jungle, we just want to pressure the side lanes. The fact that they gave the Lucian open, there's no way that they just go, oh, we forgot about Lucian. That was deliberate. They knew that would get first pick, so I think this is their answer. They know that Lucian's going to be in the bot lane, so they're looking to punish it, and they're looking to apply a lot of pressure there. And, you know, Lissandra, Nocturne, once those champions are 6, there's no real way to hide from them. If you're in the side lane, you're going to receive pressure when they move down there. And we do see Tax to pick up the Elise. He did play this exact same matchup yesterday against Barrage, the Elise into the Nocturne, so he put a lot of pressure topside for that, so if they get a good matchup here, we can see that again, and then round it out the Galio for Kasing, which again, goes to what he's been playing in the UKLC. He wants to impact the map.
So we've seen some dicey Elise games from people like Nulty, who haven't really had that impact early. And Taxa is a guy who's played a lot of Elise over his career. It's kind of one of his go-to champions in the jungle, so kind of finding a home back onto that Elise pick. The Galio coming in, I think for Kasing here, you would say that's likely going to be for Kasing. A, denies it from Prosfair, but B also gives a really powerful anti-engage and also follow-up engage tool as well, should they go for something like the Jarvan. It's a little bit late in the draft for the Jarvan at this point in time, but again, if you find that wombo combo engage, you've always got that option with the Galio Jarvan, which is a very popular combo that we have in the meta right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that will concern me is, because if they were to pick the Jarvan out, it has to go top lane. They've left counter pick to Fnatic, so if they wanted to, they could go for something like the Yorick again, and we saw how effective that was in their game yesterday against Darkspawn. So unless they decide to ban out that now, they're in a position where it might be a bit dicey, but I feel like knowing Sendo, you wouldn't go particularly for the Jarvan, you go for something that can more hold its own in the 1v1, especially when you saw they went Renekton, Elise yesterday's game.
You could see Camille from
and
Sendo
they just
as well.
pressured the top so much. Potentially, I think the risk with that is that you don't know if Fnatic are going to pick their AD carry. If Fnatic, presumably they'll take the AD carry in the next rotation because XL is most likely already picked that bot lane. So you would think that they take AD carry now, they leave it over to XL to decide the top lane pick, and then they go for a counter matchup for Shikari.
What AD carry would you be looking at now with the Braum, with the Kai'Sa, and the Ezreal banned?
I mean, we've seen Sivir might play the yesterday. It's pretty good effect. It works here for that level 6 sort of go in. You could go for someone with a bit more range if you want to have more safety in the lane.
Tristana, maybe.
I mean, if they're just,
that's a confident pick. That's a confident pick coming out of Xmatic.
It's a good lane matchup into the Lucian because you can tumble away from his piercing light, and the range difference is pretty similar. So that's one of Vayne's weaknesses. But when you get to the point in teamfights, you can follow up so easily with that with the final hour.
So now we wait for XL to round this composition out. If you're looking at their base here, what are you expecting beyond this? What are your thoughts? Oh, okay. That is a Sejuani locked in for XL alongside the Elise. Are we looking at a potential top lane Sejuani?
I think it's probably a top lane Sejuani. I think the fact that they hovered some jungle picks was to try and make the other team think, oh, it's a jungle Sejuani. I doubt it. I would be very surprised if they were playing Elise somewhere else.
I mean, I haven't seen Elise top lane since she was released.
Yeah, so I think it might well be. No, it's all gone out the window.
What? Okay. I'm assuming it's Sejuani mid.
It could be Sejuani support, Galio mid, Renekton top, Elise jungle. It could even be Elise support. There's a lot of variations this could be.
This could be anything.
It's a lot of flexes, but the question I got to ask is, will it be able to answer Fnatic's pretty heavy engage composition they've rounded out with a Vayne to carry? And we see the pick come out from Shikari, which is like Kennen. It makes a lot of sense.
Because it deals with everything, right? It deals with almost everything.
Well, not just that, but I think if you look at that composition, the one pick you're almost definitely certain on is it's probably going to be Renekton top. I say that, but it may not be. But
I thought the one pick you'd be set on is probably Elise jungle and obviously Lucian AD carry.
You would think. I think we're going to have to wait and see until things get switched over. But I know Kennen has a good matchup into Renekton.
Does Kennen have a good matchup into Sejuani?
Yeah, it's pretty
similar. Okay, okay.
But like, I expect it's going to be the Renekton top, and if that means Sejuani mid, that'd be very interesting. But I think they might switch it last second. We'll have to wait.
This is the cutoff now.
20 seconds.
They can't switch beyond this. So it is Sendo playing a Renekton top, Exile playing Sejuani mid, Kasing running with that combo with the Lucian in the bot lane with the Galio Lucian, and then we've got Taxa playing the Elise jungle. Now, my worry is here that there is a certain point in this game where this composition drops off the cliff.
All right. Yeah.
All right, guys. What? I'm gonna stand here. What the hell was that? I saw the Vayne and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I saw the Renekton.
I saw the Vayne and I was like, this is going to be a fun game. I've not seen a Vayne in a while. Vayne always
the thing that seemed interesting to me is that they picked Vayne. What is Vayne good at killing?
Tanks.
Okay, so then they're like, oh, let's take a Sejuani. I'm like, I don't know, they have something planned.
Before we get into the game, I was told to give you some cards and you guys can make predictions, but that's boring. So I want you to pick a card, any card. All right. And I want you to reveal why that team that I've given you, why you think they're going to win
this.
I
got it. They haven't gone for a boosted draft.
Okay, well, I've got the more difficult one, which is XL. I think they're hoping to catch them off guard. I think Sejuani got some of her base damages changes, and I expect this might be a pick where they're just going to put a lot of damage into the mid lane, and I think just catch Magic Felix off guard. That is the plan. They want to win mid game and just go on from there.
Well, I believe we are ready to go into game, so I'm just going to take off. See you later.
Oh, what are you predicting, Jake?
XL, 1.
XL, okay,
yeah.
2 for 1. I mean, I actually just pulled a card at random. I didn't actually get an opportunity to predict it.
I didn't get a pull. I didn't have a choice. So.
I just got given Fnatic. I actually would have gone for XL just because of the meme level draft
I
that we've
probably would
got
have gone for Fnatic for the opposite reason, but you know.
Okay,
we get what we're given.
This is going to be a good one. Let's see how this pans out. And now this would definitely have been a thought process going in for XL. You don't just draft Sejuani, but you don't just get like halfway through the draft and go, ah, well, we've screwed it up, boys. Let's just draft Sejuani mid, right?
It's similar when I said them leaving the Lucian open. They always plan for this. It wasn't a misclick. They went into this with a plan. So this is clearly something Exile has practiced. They'll have played it in scrims.
All right.
And there'll be a reason to pick it.
All right, veteran, if you're watching, because I know you sometimes do, please tweet with the hashtag UKLC as to what the hell is going on. As we jump into the game between XL and Fnatic. XL with one of the weirdest compositions I have seen in quite a long time.
Now, the concern for me is that XL will lack damage later on, as you said. But it's also going to be interesting to see whether Exile goes for a more tanky or more AP-focused build than Sejuani.
No, we've got full AP Sejuani, surely. I just don't understand how this team wins if you go tanky Sejuani against a Vayne.
Well, in the tank until she gets like 2 items.
Here's my thought process. You ready? You ready for the thought process of Excandra? We've got a poll, by the way, in Twitch chat, and it will tell you 1 or 2 who you want to vote for, and we'll reveal the results pretty soon. Here's my thought process. Until Vayne gets like 3 items, you're going to do no damage as Fnatic to this tank lineup, really.
I'd say 2, to be honest.
2 items? Okay, 2 items.
Blader and King Ginsu's.
Okay, fair enough. That's a pretty good 2-item spike. So XL have got like a limited period of time where Kennen and Lissandra are going to be next to useless versus the beefy tank lineup, right?
Yeah.
But that's a timer that they have to work with. This is the hardest composition timer I have ever seen in my life.
That's the thing, though. We're making assumptions here. I haven't seen a Sejuani mid recently, so maybe it is. I'm guessing it doesn't, but maybe it scales insanely well. That's what we don't know.
Well, if it's AP Sejuani, I used to get destroyed by AP Sejuanis in solo queue that actually scaled horrendously well.
I think the problem is that later on, once Matty gets defensive items and doesn't get 1 hit, you're going to struggle. Plus, the rest of the composition for XL doesn't scale super amazingly. But either way, what I hope to look at for the side of XL is pressure from that Elise. Make things happen in the top or mid lane.
Well, you've got kill lanes in every lane, right? You can actually go into any lane pre-6 and find something.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan's going to be farming things away on this Nocturne. This is what he likes to do. He likes to farm and wait for his level 6. So I don't expect to see a ton of movement from Dan before then, apart from just picking up camps. He's
going to get both River Scuttlers here. Which is pretty good boost to his experience gain in the early game, and something that maybe Taxa just overlooked. Taxa's not going to be able to punish on the blue side of the map.
I feel like it's just Dan's pathing Kingdom. This is the game he plays. He wants to get as many camps as possible, and Taxa not making the nullity mistake, which is to contest the Scuttle at level 2 and die on Elise. So these things gone better now, but he is heading towards that bot side. Has got his double buff, so in a pretty strong position right now as Elise, but unfortunately, he won't get spotted out here.
Oh, Prosper walks straight onto the top of him right now. Matty and Prosper going in on Taxa. Taxa's going to be forced to flash in just a moment as he will repel. Oh, we're waiting for a flash play from Kasing. Oh! What a monster! Kasing absolutely destroys them. That was the perfect bait. They've lost so many minions. XL off to a big start.
That looked so bad, but it worked out so good. And I think Matty and Prosper just, they didn't expect it. And we did get a poll result. Fnatic won by 71%. Unfortunately, you can't change that right now because I think some people might want to change their votes after that play. Oh, it's just monstrous. And the trust in his teammates for Kasing to go, right, I'll channel my taunt. Don't flash over. We're going in. It's just flawless play that ends up rewarding them massively in. I didn't think they would be able to gank bot lane. It was shoved in. I thought they were just he was gonna come bot and try and steal some camps, but that was some next level baits.
That was great. I feel like Xmati and Prosves should have seen the rotation from Inax and Kasing. You got to realize that Galio can flash over the wall.
Yeah.
But let's not take away how well orchestrated that was. I felt like it was set up from the start almost. Either it was a great piece of team reaction from XL, or it was just genuinely pretty calculated.
I think Fnatic just wanted to ensure the flash from Elise was used, and they weren't walking away. They felt confident at that distance because I guess they expected Kasing to have walked over, but I don't think they expected for him to fully channel his Taunt and then just flash over with it. And I think a big factor as well is that Mighty had Cleanse and Prosper had Flash. They were confident they wouldn't die, but they just didn't recognize the amount of damage that comes out from this Elise.
Yeah, really heavy burst damage, especially level 3 on the Elise
Plus
too.
The Galio has a lot of damage for a support champion.
Yeah, I mean, the Justice Punch, huge...
yeah, and the passive and just everything. So all came together and given a strong start to XL, but this is what they need. This is what their composition needs. And interestingly, we will see it's going to be an AP Kennen from Shikari, I most likely think, from that the penetration boots. He has had a very good lane matchup into Sendo so far, getting very far ahead in CS. And this is to be expected. Kennen has a good lane matchup into Renekton, especially he has Kleptomancy, so he's going to get even more gold from that. So this Kennen is going to be a big problem in the late game. Not so much as a split pusher, but as a I'm going to one-hit everything on your backline, which fortunately for XL, there's not many backline champions.
There's a one backline. Taxa's now heading into the top lane, going in onto Shikari, who has got his ultimate. It's a nice piece of pathing from Shikari, though. Going to get him out nice and safely. He is level 6 too, so Taxa will have to be a little careful here. Dan's responded really well by going straight for this Infernal Drake, though. Yeah,
it was just really good moves from Shikari. Instantly got that stun to deny Sendo from locking him down. And as soon as that possibility was gone, he just managed to walk away scot-free. And now, Dan taking that dragon, which we saw yesterday, a bit of a mixed bag on which dragons are spawning, but getting Infernal for the first one and pick it up, definitely what you want from Fnatic, because it just makes that scaling even more dicier for XL.
Yeah, and XL also won't be gifted the free stats for a composition that maybe needs those free stats to give a bit more longevity to what they can do here. The pressure seems like it's on Taxa right now. XL's rotating top. There is still a flash and ultimate from Shikari.
He did just use his E.
Yep.
So if they lock him down, he can definitely go down here, but I think they're erring on the side of safety because Dan is coming, but Dan is level 5.
Ooh, Exile, there we go. He's going to spot that control ward out. Exile just waiting up here next to Dan. They aren't going to get anything done with Shikari, and Exile's just going to have to back off. Lost a little bit of experience in that mid lane. May even lose some turret plating now for Magi Felix too. But the bot lane's going well. That's a big point of contention now for XL. They're doing so well with NX and Kasing and just in complete control. Yeah,
Kasing's Ignite actually comes back up, and he puts a lot of pressure on Mai. Mai doesn't bring any summoners, but has to back off, and that's a lot of turret plating going down. And this is a difficult, you pick that Vayne pick. I said it's okay in the 1v1 matchup, but clearly they're falling really far behind after that gank, and it takes a while for this pick to come online.
I think you rub salt in the wounds now if you're XL. You've got a great turret diving ability with the Sejuani able to roam from mid to bot lane. You have a very small amount of turret plating left in that bot lane turret. I mean, you could, if XL you wanted to, take that turret super early and rotate top. Just take Renekton out of that matchup and try and put pressure across the map.
I think you absolutely can. Also, you'd be in a position where you'd swap away the Renekton Kennen lane, which isn't a fun matchup for the Crocodile.
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense to go for that. But for now, they will just obviously still go bot, keep applying that pressure, because the item differential between Inax and Mai is pretty significant now. They're in a good position to keep pressuring the lane.
Dan now level 6, so he has that option to just start to roam towards lanes, and bot lane is a pretty good lane that he might want to look to impact with that ultimate.
Yeah,
could be top lane too.
We saw Kasing and Inax playing very aggressive yesterday into a Nocturne, not respecting the level 6 ult, and they actually fell to it. So the same thing could happen here if they overstep. They have to respect the fact that the engage range from a Nocturne is just way bigger than you can account for from other champions.
Yeah, absolutely, and it also means that Kasing will have his ult, unless he's right next to Inax, will have that ultimate shut down too, can't use it as easily, so we'll never be able to sort of peel off. But Inax and Kasing are in complete control on that bottom side, and that is what is important here, I think, because Vayne I really feel is the linchpin for the Fnatic composition in the way that you beat XL easily in the late game.
Yeah, the sooner the Vayne comes online, the sooner she has not only a core items, but some defensives to survive that burst from XL, then she's just going to be able to shred everything that comes near her. But for now, XL have that advantage, about 1.5k gold ahead, just under. but they have to keep the momentum going. And the thing is, we've seen Exile consistently roam, and he's fallen almost 20 CS behind because of it. But nothing has been found yet, so Fnatic very much respecting the Sejuani pick, and so far it hasn't done very much.
Well, you can see the first turret of the game goes down to XL. You see an immediate rotation out of Fnatic. I think guessing, predicting that XL will make that rotation up towards the top side of the map. But right now, Inax is just going to shove another wave in. I think he'll end up backing off though. So yeah, I mean, Fnatic immediately predicting the XL rotation.
It's a good situation that XL stayed to push that wave though, because all those minions on the bot lane are just being missed. No one's there to pick them up. So that's essentially a net win for XL on the map. They should get to top lane in time to pick up these minions, and so they ended up pretty favorably. It does mean the one advantage Fnatic picked up there was they got to the top side first. So if you look at the vision control, they established it already in the top side of the river. They've got things set up for that Rift Herald if they want it. But now that Inax and Kasing turn up who are stronger, they have to be respectful, because look at that CS difference.
Yeah, it's
between
huge.
Carries.
Absolutely huge right now, almost bordering on 40 in favor of Inax. And that was all set up because of that Taxa and Kasing play in the early game. Really well played from XL in general. And they maybe look to just continuously do what they did before. I mean, they've got top lane pressure now. They can very likely set up for a Rift Herald play with the Sejuani rotating top, because they have all of that top side pressure. And Dragon up in 30 seconds, if they can draw attention towards the Rift Herald, they can probably ignore the Dragon for the most part. They can just focus on getting the turrets and pushing the game that way.
Yeah, it's a Cloud Dragon. I wouldn't be too concerned about giving this one away. The Infernal was a bit of an issue, but the next one I think you can just sort of give up on. The concern is going to be if Shikari decides to TP in, he is very strong. I feel like he can probably recall soon and grab a Proto Belt, and then a TP in with that is just going to be so powerful. But for now, XL saw the Rift Herald, but I'm seeing pings come in. I think Fnatic want to contest this, or at least look for a steal. Yeah,
well, Dan's definitely got his ultimate up. Here comes Matty and Prosper rotating down. You can also see Shikari moving up from the bottom side of the map. This is going to be a 5 versus 4 if XL are careful. Here comes the knockdown, a big taunt onto the Vayne. She's not the target that ideally you want to go for, but they get the immediate kill. Shikari now moving in from the side. That is going to be a zone away by Kasing. Shikari cannot get into the fight, and he's now going to get focused. Too late on the ultimate, gets nothing done with it as they take down yet another member of Fnatic, and XL take the fight that they need.
And they just dismantle them. I feel like Fnatic are looking for these fights way too early. No one on your team, as you said, can cut through this front line from XL. This Sejuani just seems invincible. Until she's
does eventually go down, but that is a lovely flash cocoon onto Magi Felix, who's now going to be the target. Taxa, unfortunately, has to repel away. He's so careful, and Kasing, nice body block just to make sure Shikari can't find that final attack. And actually, the Rift Herald didn't get enough done. But if you look on the top side of the map, Renekton is pushing a big wave into that top tower.
Yeah, still a big gold advantage. We'll break this team fight down afterwards. So can I come in, and I feel like because they can flank them, they're in a good position, but it's very aggressive play from XL, from Kasing, starts the fight off well. Dan goes in, but by this point it's too late. And crucially, Magi Felix and Shikari do nothing until they've already lost 2 members of the team. And I think that's the issue, is that Shikari made the decision to walk up, whereas Sendo made the decision to TP in. And I mean, XL just oversteps here. You have to respect Lissandra still has that ult. But the crucial thing there was, because Shikari walked up, he was still about 5-10 seconds away from being in the fight. Whereas on the other side, Renekton was there as soon as his TP was channeled.
Yeah, nice body block by Kasing at the end there. Savior, actually just all of the zoning that Kasing did in that fight was just so good.
Kasing showing why he is an LEC level player, because this game so far being the Kasing show, he found that engaged because Fnatic were trying to wait a bit longer. They didn't want the fight yet. They were waiting for the Kennen and the Lissandra to get on the flank. And Kasing just pulled the trigger and went in instantly and just denied them that opportunity. I think Fnatic disrespected a bit XL by going for that play, whereas they still have that scale and potential, but they really need to start putting the brakes on this game to get to that point.
Yeah, they just can't force fights like they have been doing previously. It's just not... We're not at a stage where Vayne's going to be relevant, and she really has been bullied out every single engage.
Absolutely.
XL have got the big mid-game composition, and we'll have a look at the build paths now. You see Sejuani, she's going Killing Gem, double amplifying.
Probably a Proto Belt to come out.
That's a big hit. Oh, good by Magi Felix into the turret, and XL are going to pick up this mid lane turret if they can push a bit further.
Good vision control from XL, and I think Magi Felix, you're so confident on this Lissandra when you have that Glacial Tomb, but they just didn't expect the other Freylord Queen to come flying over the wall and take you down.
XL can't quite get the mid lane turret. They might be able to get it on the next push though. Inax is very strong at this point in time, but this is a resounding defense from Fnatic. They're going to save the final few basic attacks, but that mid lane is on edge.
At the end of the day, they got all that turret plate and they got a lot of gold. They got the kill on the Magifelix. XL got what they want, which is a significant lead from the early game. Now, as we're getting to that 15-minute point, we've got to see what they can do with this mid game. Vayne is still pretty useless. She doesn't even have that one item spike. She wants 2 items before she can start to shred through people on XL. They're a long way away from that. And you look at the gold differential between the bot lane in particular, it's so massive right now. I mean, it's 2,000 between the AD carries, another 2,000 between the supports. And yes, support goal difference isn't the biggest thing to talk home about, but it just shows how violently this bot lane difference has happened. And it makes me think that Fnatic disrespected Inax to an extent by letting this Lucian go open.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't. Maybe they thought that Xmati was perfectly capable of dealing with it, but I mean, they got baited in by that fantastic early play. And it's not the first time in the UKLC this week that we've seen a game almost decided based on one play. Inax is ready to go in here using the ultimate. Mati bounces back. Here comes Kasing on the back line. Doesn't have the flash to get the taunt onto Mati. Teleport's coming through. That is a massive overstep from Inax as he goes down. The shutdown there. A huge ultimate. A great collapse by Fnatic, and they're turning things around. 3-0, and Taxa gonna get knocked up. Magifelix looking for the kill, and I have no idea what XL have just done.
Yeah, and they went for an overzealous play. They felt confident. They saw Matty farming by himself, but they didn't realize he had a lot of friends. So Fnatic instantly collapsed, double TP down, the Nocturne ult as well, and we talked about that massive early game lead XL have. They basically just threw it all away.
They've definitely lost a large margin on their gold advantage. Now only just over 2,000 gold. I mean, XL had the game in their hands, but Inax looking to make a solo play onto Mati did not respect the position of the rest of the Fnatic roster, as well as how quickly a Nocturne can react. A Shikari who didn't use teleport in the last fight either. I mean, you felt like if you were really thinking about it, that play wasn't great.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens. Inax, he goes for the slow play because he thinks Maddie is completely alone. And it's now where all the reinforcements come in. Nocturne just locks him down and then the follow-up's there. And the problem is, the TP comes from Exile and you can't cancel it anymore because I have no doubt he would have wanted to. Taxa gets caught out as well, and Fnatic, they clean up and get everything. And like we said, this is a comp without scales. And they just picked up a lot to contribute towards that scaling they're looking for. One
by one, they get knocked off the edge like bottles. And XL have got to work again, work from the bottom, find another way to win a team fight, because let's be fair, they are still in a good position. They are still in a mid-game composition. Vayne is only on 1 item, so it's not like it's...
They're still in a gold lead and the game's not gone yet.
Exactly.
But that is not what you wanted to see. We talked about them having that big lead before 15 minutes. To cut that in half in one play that you made is not how you want the game to go. So now they're going to have to take stock and think, right, how do we keep this game going in our direction? Because again, if they let this go late, Fnatic are going to win this one.
Siege still coming through. Dan waiting on the sidelines, has got that ultimate up again, and his ultimates have been, well, that one in particular was super impactful in turning things around for Fnatic. Shikari, I just can't say enough good words about this guy. Despite he was a little bit late to that team fight around Rift Herald, but he's 2-0-2. That was a massive impact ultimate that went through on that previous fight.
Absolutely, and this is the thing, is that Fnatic aren't at a burden to win this game. They just need to outlast XL and the game will win itself. It's XL who have to win this game fast, which is why they're going for these proactive plays, but there it completely backfired.
Again, a little bit aggressive in their pushing. XL's split pushing as the Sejuani, and they're kind of testing Fnatic with the way that they're positioning here.
I mean, that's the thing, is that Fnatic are a very calculated team, and all they need to do is just not give up objectives, keep things controlled, and they will get to this late game. So XL, they need to start to make things happen. But just not like the last play they went for. So they're rotating down towards that boss side. This is a big thing, is that they've kind of established vision control in Fnatic's blue side jungle. They'll be able to pick up these camps and pressure this bot lane tower, but the problem is Baron's not up for 2 minutes, and even then I don't think they're going to take it super fast. They're kind of just sitting here unable to take any more objectives because these inner towers are a lot harder to break than the outer towers.
Yeah, and the way that you can see Fnatic rotate between the lanes, XL unable to punish the fact that double teleport was used too, because again, it's so easy to get between these inner towers for Fnatic. They don't really need to rely on teleports to give them the map presence. And in the meantime, Mati just happy to sit and farm top lane. He's still 40 CS behind, but he will just let those waves crash in and he'll take that free gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the game's just going to completely sit on the head at 2 items, because yes, Mati's going to be strong, but Inax's 2-item spike is pretty mean as well. But it's the beginning of the end when he can finally start to just absolutely shred that front line of XL. And when it gets to the point where he has that core build, the Blaze Rune King and the Ginsus, and then on top of that, he has a defensive item, that's when things get really problematic because there's no real answer to the Vayne, especially when the Vayne is already taking cleanse. CC is not going to be an answer. If you have a defensive, then you're going to be able to mitigate a lot of damage, and your DPS will just be too much for XL to handle.
We need to look towards the Baron as the point of contention for XL. If they can get that and start to shove down these inner towers, they can look to snowball.
Yeah.
It would have been much easier if they haven't given away half their gold lead, but...
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the back and forth is going to be. The Baron control should be really good because they have a lot of CC potential, and they have things like the Elise Cocoon, which can come out of Fog of War. They have the Glacial Prison. Is it? Yeah, the Glacial Prison from the... No, it's the...
Frozen Tomb, isn't it?
Frozen Tomb from the Sejuani, from the Lissandra. I'm talking Sejuani.
Oh, it's Glacial Prison, I think.
Glacial Prison, yeah. So they have that, just if anyone comes up to check the vision. And I think, but the problem is, for me, is that XL don't want to start this Baron. Because if you start that Baron and Lissandra, Kennen come in and flank you, you lose the whole game.
Yeah, you lose the game at that point.
So they want to bait the Baron, they want to get people to move in on it, and they want to potentially kill someone like Dan. But for them to start it would be a very risky move. So that's why things are a bit tense here, and XL's control and patience needs to be excellent.
This is the thing, though, because you're in a situation where you need to make the move, but all Fnatic are doing is letting these minion waves crash in. If you start and commit to Baron, you're going up against a Kennen Lissandra who will relish the opportunity to dive into the pit with their ultimates, like you said. So this is a rough situation for XL. If Fnatic aren't willing to overstep, XL might find it difficult to force the mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And one advantage for XL is that Infernal Dragon is coming up. So I think Fnatic are making the right choice here. They're just not contesting it. They know it's not the objective you want to die for. It's not really going to put them in a favorable position. So they give it up. It equalizes on that Infernal, but that's a big thing. Because Fnatic got that one earlier, it ends up just being 1-1. Fnatic going to go back to playing slow, but Shikari, I think he might be overstepping over here, but I think he's realized they want Dragon, they could be here, so he backs off a bit. And, I mean, XL are going to continue to take all of these jungle camps away, but it's not exactly game-changing.
No, but it does deny Dan gold, you know,
Yeah.
so over time it will deny Dan gold.
But at the rate it denies gold, it's by the time it's relevant, you know, by the time it's like a few thousand gold, it'll be at the point in the game where Fnatic just outscale.
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
It's nice, but they need to do something more. So they're going to keep pushing up. They want to head towards that red side jungle, control the vision, and then they need to find a pick. And that's the opportunity for them to take out Fnatic and potentially get that Baron. But again, I think it's so risky for them to start the Baron. And that's why Fnatic can sort of take things a bit slow when they want to contest that vision.
Again, Fnatic very happy to just wait this out. I mean, the gold lead is extended back to 4,000 gold, or thereabouts. It's about 3,500.
Yeah,
so it's all from the CS denial, and also I think Fnatic is sacrificing waves when they're rotating between the lanes.
Yeah, but there is one aspect of that 4,000 gold at 50 minutes is pretty big.
4,000 gold at 22 minutes is not so much.
Not as much,
Yeah.
you know. It's still significant. It's still very significant, but it's getting closer and closer to that point where the scaling's going to come in. We'll see XL just taking the recalls. They got the vision, but that's the issue, is that they get that vision control, they don't find anything, and it's back to farming. And it's difficult to see a point where I think, right, now XL should take the fight because they'll be stronger, because right now they're stronger. But they can't force Fnatic to fight them. And they can't be strong enough to take the Baron and then deal with the consequences. At least not until they have a tanky member to soak it up. And the thing is, especially with Sejuani going full AP, that Baron will do a lot of damage to anyone who tries to tank it.
Yeah, we're going to see Spear coming out from Renekton as his second item as well. So no one really taking that frontline tank role. So everyone is at least a little bit vulnerable to the Kennen and the Lissandra, more so than they would have been.
And that's the thing, being trapped in that pit, especially when everyone's short range, being trapped in that pit by a Kennedal is like the worst position to be in. And that's why they're so tentative to start it up. But that means Fnatic is going to keep playing this waiting game again and again.
Well, you don't win the split push as XL here. So they are committing to this 1-3-1, but they don't actually win it. Like, this is more a way for them to think about how to push their vision in, push the top wave in, push into red side jungle, that kind of thing.
It keeps them like sort of tied in that base so they can't push up very far, but it's not going to take them any towers, not anytime soon. So essentially they're just buying time for Fnatic, and Magic Felix is going in.
Oh, that's a misstep, a great pick up there by Fnatic. They're going to go on to Kasing now. It doesn't look like XL wants to commit to this. Kasing does dive out. XL has got the ability to use his ultimate right now, but he's not going to be able to find a good opportunity to do so as he backs off. The ultimate from Shikari is down. Sendo is now very low, going to pay for it with his life, and oh, XL. That's just the right situation for Fnatic.
They just overstepped, didn't even need to come down the Baron. They go too far forwards, and now Fnatic are tentatively going to turn onto that Baron. They don't have a lot of the big ults, but they have 5 members, and that's more than XL have. Yeah,
they're going for this right now. XL does have... Oh, he doesn't have his Glacial Prism available. He actually used it already.
Galio has his ult, so they'll wait for that before they go in.
Actually, people taking a lot of damage here. This might be a mistake from Fnatic. They're boxed into the pit. If XL can go in with the Galio ultimate, this might be game-changing. There's no big moves. Here comes the Galio ultimate coming in. Nax goes in. There's going to be a Baron take by Fnatic, but the rest of XL are looking to clear up Fnatic. But that's a really good result. 2 loss for a Baron. You take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, they already killed 2 members of XL before that play, so in terms of kills, they went even. They take the Baron off the map, and now you have to ask, what are XL going to do? I mean, they can push mid now. They might be able to get this. I'm not even sure if they get that tower in time.
I think they might get the tower, but they're definitely not going to get in the inner tower or the inhibitor.
I don't even think they get that. So it's like, what is...
Oof, maybe.
What's your game plan as XL now? Because waiting for the next Baron might be too long. You really just missed out massively. And it was just an overstep from the side of XL. And Fnatic have been so good on punishing these oversteps. We saw it in the bot lane when they were trying to go aggressive and mighty. We saw it then again when Taxa and Kasing just stepped too far forwards. And now, yes, the gold is still in the favor of XL, but that Baron buff and that scaling advantage is Fnatic's, and that's why I'm really concerned right now to what the game plan is going to be from XL, because Fnatic have been very good in the fact that no one has stepped forward. No one has made a misstep when they shouldn't have, and I don't see a reason to think that they will now.
I want to just point out when we were looking at the gold charts there, previously Vayne was about 2,500 gold. The difference between Natty and NX was 2,500 gold. Now it is just 1,000. Vayne has got her Ginsu's Berserker's Grief finished and is also going towards a Null Magic Mantle to protect against some of that magic damage coming out from XL and Taxa.
Yeah.
This is the situation that Fnatic wanted to be in at the start of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is when Vayne is really strong. I still think they're going to hold out for a bit longer because they want that defensive item on the Vayne, but if they find a good teamfight opportunity, they can actually absolutely crush it here. And again, the longer this game goes on, the better position they're going to be in.
XL look like they want to force this mid lane turret. Dan is rotating round. There is a Shikari teleporting in for the flank on the backside. Yeah, I know exactly. Can they recognize this coming through? MagiFelix is there as well. He's going onto Inax. Inax immediately flashes out. There goes Lissandra. No one is touching Inax, but right now the rest of Fnatic are diving in onto that fairly squishy XL roster.
Matty's free-hitting!
It's Inax versus the world, but Matty is cleaning up, and XL can do nothing as they get wiped off the floor. This composition just has not done its job.
Yeah, absolutely. The flank comes in. Great coordination from Shikari and MagiFelix at the same time they TP in, and there is very few things that are more devastating than a Ken and Lissandra flank, and we just saw exactly why. And crucially, the Vayne was there to clear up. XL get crushed.
It looked so good for XL at the start of the game. They looked like everything was flowing in their favor, but they left it too long. They made some mistakes around that bot lane, and suddenly Fnatic have regained complete control of the game. Matty at a 2-item spike, now working towards his 3rd. You feel like XL would need a miracle to get into this game.
Look at the gold. We have 2,100 on Matty right now, 3,300 on Lissandra, 1,800 on the Kennen. They're going to base and spend, and for the first time in the game, they are significantly far ahead of XL. 1,500, and with the scaling advantage as well, things are looking very bad for the XL side.
And you think about this in the context of the UKLC, XL need these points more than Fnatic do, because they are the ones that are teetering on the edge of the playoff position right now. They're the ones that are being threatened by the likes of a really good 2 weeks from Enclave and a really good 2 weeks from Phelan. You know, Phelan even win here versus M&M. It's going to look even worse. It's unlikely. I'm not going to paint this as like it's a likely story that XL lose their playoff position. But I'm saying that the XL are the lowest playoff position right now in terms of points.
At bare minimum, they're going to be in a dicey situation where they might be the 4th seed, and that means in playoffs they go up against Fnatic. And as we've just seen now, I don't think that's a fun matchup to go through.
It's not, and Matty has picked up the QSS now as well.
Yeah, XL are looking for a bit of a cheese play here, the Death Brush against Fnatic. Will they fall for it? Might be a hard one to pull up. I think Fnatic just going to push it mid. They're not even checking that brush to the side. And that's the thing, is that there's so much less flank potential from the side of XL than there is from Fnatic.
I just don't see many ways that XL activate a win condition here. I think that time has passed. XL looks to go on to Magifelix, doesn't quite land the Glacial Prison there. Full
So
X-Smithy
close,
comes out.
but
well,
just too far.
Yeah, not a full X-Smithy, but a partial X-Smithy.
Partial, full, doesn't matter at the end of the day. They don't get it, they don't get a kill. So now XL go back to the waiting game where the game is completely in Fnatic's control. And now they're going to push down this bottom tower, and all those turrets we saw up for XL earlier, now off the cards. And I've got to give credit to Magifelix here, is that he is playing things very slow, uses the blue trinket to sort of scout out that brush, not going over aggressive, respecting the fact that right now the game is really Fnatic's to lose. Yeah,
Fnatic are in complete control at this point, and XL, they had a really good 15 to 18 minutes of the first part of the game. They looked in control.
15 minutes, that was, because I remember saying at 14-40, they had a great early game. Let's see what they do with the mid game. And by 16 minutes, that was when they made that play on
they
Mate.
made that play. So yeah, they made that play on
first
Matty.
15 minutes, you were doing good, XL. Everything from then on, not so good.
I just think they got, I mean, I feel like it's like a classic Inax play. Like he just felt like he was strong enough to just blow Matty up before there was a response.
I think he just didn't respect what could happen on the map, because you saw from how he played, he went for the let's not let Matty escape sort of positioning, where he doesn't really care about this, how much damage he's going to do instantly. He just wanted to cut him off. But then he didn't factor in the Nocturnal and the double TP, and ends up going down as a result massively. And from then on, yes, XL didn't lose control of the game then, but it's just been disastrous. Fnatic keep taking and taking. The big standout for me has to be these Shikari and Magifelix. 2 times we've seen them teleport together, and the execution's just been flawless every time.
The flanks from Shikari and Magifelix have just been insane. I'd say that both, I mean, specifically Magifelix as well, coming in, doing huge damage. These guys have single-handedly given Fnatic the best opportunity to teamfight. And XL they just don't have a response, really. Like, this is just an all-in composition from XL. Here we go again, Magifelix with the big engage, missed the ultimate from the Sejuani, and on the backside of the fight there is Inax throwing out his ultimate, not doing much damage right now, and Matty is just running around, absolutely cleaning XL up. Nothing able to touch this Vayne, and Fnatic should be able to win the game from here, because XL can do nothing, absolutely nothing, and the rest of Fnatic.
Yeah, triple kill comes out from X-Mite on that Vayne. It was a confident pick, and it has paid off, even with that rough laning phase. XL's going to be the last of 4 here. And an ace from Fnatic means they should be able to push this one down and end. And we said it, the scaling was on the side of Fnatic. It got to that point where there was just no options. A great engage from Magifelix might well put him into contention for MVP, but just solid performances from Fnatic. It just looked way too easy.
I think just based off that engage, you have to give the MVP over to Magifelix. He's been excellent on this Lissandra the entire game. XL do not take the win with their kind of weird composition. Fnatic do the job. They put themselves into the final of the UKLC today, and that will close the book on the XL Fnatic game.
I understood the reasoning behind the composition. I understood why they went for it, but it just felt like the execution wasn't there.
Well, it was for like 15 minutes. That's what we said. Like
good 15 minutes.
Good 15 minutes. And I think they had the right idea, but that one play that then let them go into a stalemate around the first Baron, that was rough. XL, and there was 2 plays even. Taxa getting caught out as well around that middle turret, and that just gave everything over to Fnatic. XL drafted a really weird, very risky composition that had a gated timer on it.
Which I think is fine. It's fine to draft these gated comps, but we've seen time and time again, XL have a great early game. They've consistently had a great early game. Why are you drafting a composition that makes it easy for them? Yeah. The issue is not the early game, it's after that. So why not draft something that, okay, it might be a bit tricky early, but you get to that 15, 16 onwards minute point, and you're like, okay, we're strong now. Because they drafted something that, as soon as they lost those couple of fights, where the one in bot lane and the one around mid, I was just like, well, that's it.
By the way, I accidentally chose the right winner based on Jake's...
I kind of feel like I got roped into that one.
Jake's the only one that made an autonomous decision to go for XL here. So he's,
Jake's
the loser.
He chose the wrong team.
By the way, the MVP is indeed Magifelix. He will pick that to award up for his excellent Lissandra play. But both him and Shikari had huge impact in the way that these team fights went for Fnatic. And they will be taking on the winner of Phelan and Eminem later on today.
I mean, I think the thing you have to say about Magifelix is everyone knows he's a solo queue monster. But the things you don't get from solo queue is coordination and a sort of understanding of how this can impact your team. And something we saw in the first week between XL and Fnatic was XL got back in the game by picking Magifelix. We saw him go bot there, use a blue trinket, play it safe, and he very much showed a more calculated level of play, especially with the TP flanks. I think this is beginning to show that he's transitioning to the sort of player we expect him to be in competitive.
There's an evolution here. There's an evolution for Magic Felix, and you're seeing him grow as a player, trying to cover the weaknesses that he previously had. That solo queue mentality is draining, and you're starting to get the mechanics from solo queue mixed with that competitive sort of mindset. So that is a really, really good performance from him in general, and I think Fnatic are looking very strong heading towards the final of the UKLC to do. And remember, the final winners will then take on Diabolus at the top of the tower to see who will be our Tower Guardians for the week. So we're going to jump to a quick break, and when we're back, we will come through with M&M taking on Phelan to see who takes on Fnatic.
Don't go anywhere.